Whenever you're ready.
All right. I'm gonna call the meeting to adjourn to order, I guess, and I'll call the roll. Baron, I'm here. I see Judy.
I'm here.
Okay. Jonathan, is that you sitting there?
Yes, that's me.
Okay. I don't. Somebody sitting in the middle there. I don't know who that is. Is that John?
Stone.
Yes. Okay. Now, how about Molly? Are you out there? Hughes. All right. How about Pete Mangold?
I think Pete might be on the phone, I thought.
Phone.
He didn't call in? Okay. He's here in spirit.
Okay. How about Todd Volker? Debbie Burns said she just texted saying she's going to be a little bit late. Who else am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Kurt.
Kurt Sesto. We need one more.
Should have Jonathan and myself. Debbie's. Oh, we need one more. Yeah, Debbie's late. Okay. I can split my personality. Does that help?
Pete says he's here, but he's gonna call.
Is he having technical issues like me?
Yeah.
All right. Hold up.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, okay? See, and then that way, because right now we only have 4, so you'll be off 5th for a quorum, so I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, okay? Okay, all right, so I'm putting you on speakerphone now. Okay. All right,
Pete?
Pete's here to my cell phone, yep.
Hello, Pete. Pete, if you want to run down to my house, you can come here. I'm on. My dog won't attack you. All right. Well, we have a quorum. First item up is minutes from our last meeting, which was September, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
It's been moved by John,
Second.
seconded by Judy. Any omissions, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are passed. Doug, I don't have my agenda up in front of me because I just have the screen. I don't think we have any old business, correct?
Correct.
We just have the new business with the Tims, correct?
Yep. The first item is a public hearing to consider rezoning from Ed and Jackie Tim for the rezoning of 1600 Otto Avenue and 313 Boyce Memorial Drive from A2 to rural.
Are they on this call?
They are present here.
Okay, they want to come forward and present themselves so we can hear what they're proposing to do.
So I'm Jackie, it's my husband Ed. what we intend to do there is to have greenhouse business, which would include a retail store, a storefront, and to do agriculture business as in growing plants and vegetables, vegetable plants, herbs, flowers, that type of thing. It'll be a seasonal greenhouse, open from March through early December or the end of November. So we spoke with all of our immediate neighbors around the area, and no one had any objections. I have a copy of signatures from the neighbors, and do you want to give that to him, hon? There were no objections to the rezoning. I have a business plan, and it's what we want to do is, operate a greenhouse business there on that property. There's not going to be any residences there, no residential housing of any type on that property. So hence the rezoning. So there won't be anybody living there. What else do you need? Would you like me to read through my plan, or what?
I read your plan. I have some questions for Doug after I get done questioning you, though.
Okay.
There was a building at the front of the property along Ottawa Avenue, or along Boyce Memorial Avenue, and that was torn down. And now the old remnants of the glass greenhouses are left, correct?
No, the one house that was a glass house is gone.
Okay.
So there's some couple in the front, and it's like 2 hoop houses in the front and 3 together in the back of that, which is actually one giant building, greenhouse structure.
Okay. All right. So is your plan to erect another building at some point in time?
No, we don't plan to put another building on that property. What we want to do is rehab the structures that are there, the greenhouse structures and the black building that's there. There is also, there's a little metal silo. There's a metal building that we'll probably use for storage. And then the block building is where we would do our work and have our little storefront in there after rehabbing it. Everything needs to be redone pretty much from zero, because it was in very, very sad condition when we purchased the property. So we have to redo electrical, water, sewer, everything.
And it's these 2 properties though, right? It's the property along Boyce Memorial and the property along Ottawa Avenue that you're requesting the zoning change on?
Yes.
Is there a house on that property now?
No, during the demolition, when we tore down the building, the main building that was there, we tore the house down that was next to it, which was 313 Boyce. So that house is no longer there.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just going to be greenhouse for the whole greenhouse plant business.
Agricultural, greenhouse.
Okay. All right. I'll let Judy and John and Jonathan and Pete continue on. I have questions for Doug after we get done.
I do have one question, if I can jump in. I guess my question is, and this could be to Doug, but why are we going to rural versus commercial?
Well, greenhouses are only allowed in a certain districts. Rural is one of them,
Okay.
and that would seem to be the less intense of any of the districts, and it fitted with what they were intending on doing.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. We don't get too many requests at down zone, so that's why I had to ask.
Okay.
So, but that's the only question I have.
All right, Jonathan?
Yes, I was just saying, parking and traffic is gonna save this.
We'll have off-street parking.
Okay.
So there is a small parking lot in the front,
Yeah, we know
but we'll also have parking. We're gonna, secure the perimeter of the property with the fence.
that. Okay,
And, according to the rezoning, we would be able to do that with the materials that we have for the fencing.
Okay.
And so once we're open, we'll have a gate and we'll open the gate and people can drive in, do their business and drive out.
okay.
All right, I want the record to reflect, I think Debbie Burns just joined us.
Is that her?
It doesn't look like her.
No, she popped up briefly, I think. Is she out there, Kevin? I think she was.
Little girl.
There's
There
Debbie.
she is.
Yeah,
There
half of
she
Debbie.
is. I see half your head, Debbie.
Yeah, here.
All right, you're on mute, Debbie. All right. Okay, Jonathan, are you finished?
I'm finished. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go to Pete first, Judy. Pete,
That's
do you
fine.
have anything, Pete?
Pete, you got anything? Uh-oh, we lost him.
All right, well, he was out there. If he rejoins us, he's got a question.
He's back, he's back.
Pete, you got any questions of the proponents?
He said, no, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna come back to you now, Judy.
I just have a couple of questions. Number one, I'd like to know the time frame of the completion of the project. And I also want to know, is this going to be like a drive-through? You indicated that you would open a gate, people would drive through and drive out. What is your plan for ingress and egress? And then thirdly, what type of fencing are you talking about? Cyclone, just a metal fence? What type of fence are you talking? And I'll mute now.
Okay, so let me go backwards. Let's start with the fencing first. The fencing is gonna be, if we are approved for rezoning, it would be a 6-foot, cyclone fence at the parts that are already that type of fencing. Along the front side, which was actually Boyce, our front, I guess, is Boyce Memorial. On the portion of the building that we left is a 2-foot brick wall. And I wanted to leave that for nostalgic reasons, like people know that there was a building there and that it used to be the greenhouse. And I wanted to fix the brick and put a 4-foot black rail fence on top of that. So it would all be 6 foot, it would be uniform. And that front part would be the only part that would be different. And then we'll have a gate, a walk-through gate and a drive-through gate. Now, the drive-through, as far as the ingress and egress goes, we have a driveway and we'll have plenty of spots for for parking inside of our property where people can come in and park, get out of their vehicle, go through the greenhouse, and then they can get back in their vehicles and exit the property back out onto the street. And when your first question was, I'm sorry, what the time frame is. The time frame? Well, we're hoping to have covers on the greenhouses before the end of this year that we're planning on covering. And we're close to doing that. So we would be ready with a greenhouse under cover in the spring is our intent, is our objective. That's what we want to do. So within definitely, I'm going to say within a year, we should have all of the rest of our things completed. We have all the materials. We have everybody's lined up, ready to help us complete our project. So the fencing, the covers on the greenhouses, and then filling in and leveling the hole from the demolition, we need to complete that. And
As far as the fencing goes, as long as we can get the permits and weather permits, that would probably get close to be the end of the year, we might be done. Otherwise, early spring. Depends on the weather.
Okay, anything else, Judy?
No, the only other concern I have is signage. What type of signage are you having?
well, we haven't decided that, or we're not. I talked a little bit with Matt Stafford about signage and that, and I know the city has restrictions on the size of the sign, the size of the letters, that we haven't designed our sign yet, so we're not exactly sure what type of sign or where it's going to be. It's probably going to be at a location where it's visible from both Ottawa Avenue and Boyce Memorial at a height that would be acceptable with the city above, so people could still see that. Now that we've cleaned all the way around that corner, we still want people to be able to see around the corner. So
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judy. All right. Debbie Burns, are you out there? Do you have any questions, Debbie, of the proponents? I'm not hearing anything.
Do we have- I'm not sure if we have her back.
She's down in the bottom in my Zoom meeting. She's down there.
Oh, yeah, she is.
So I'm getting to be an old pro at these. All right. I guess we're done with you for right now, Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
Tim. You can sit
Thank
down
you.
now.
thank you.
We may have a few more questions for you, so don't go running out. This is the part of the hearing where I'm going to open it up to the public. Did we get any emails on this, Doug?
We did not.
Okay. I have a question for you then. They're going to an R class, rural class, to run their plant business, basically. And they're going to have a hoop house, whatever structure, what's left of the old former Ottawa greenhouse. If they later down the road, say they're very successful at this business and they want to construct a building to operate out of, would they have to come in and change the zoning then to a C-class zoning to put up a commercial building?
No, the greenhouse classification, it allows for, are you talking like retail building?
Yes, retail building. They want to, if they wanted to come in the front and build a building up front to operate out of.
No, it does allow for some small retail availability, rural classification does.
Is there a size limit on that?
Yeah, give me a second, I'll tell you what it is. Actually, I'm wrong. It just says, greenhouses, wholesale and retail. So it doesn't specify size.
But that would be the actual greenhouse structures, not a retail building though.
It says wholesale and retail, as in, I mean, you got to have some space available for some retail. It's specific in the ordinance that you can do wholesale or retail for what you grow in the greenhouse.
All right. I'm just looking down the road. If at some point, if they go to put up a building and say they want to put up a 3,000 square foot building, which isn't that big of a building, that somebody might come along and say, oh, no, now you got to rezone the property to commercial because you're putting up a retail building. See what I'm saying?
As long as the retail building is in conjunction with the greenhouse, they're okay.
All right. Okay. All right, that's my only question. I think John was on the same wavelength as me, is why we're going to R instead of why we're not going to C3 with this. Because the greenhouse is allowed in C3.
They are, but keep in mind the C3 is more like your Walmarts and that sort of thing. That's pretty high. That's high traffic commercial stuff, your C3.
Yeah. All right. There's a high traffic corner too. So, all right. Any other comments or questions of Doug or of the proponents? We're at motion time now.
I'll make a motion, if you don't mind.
You got the floor.
I move we concur with the findings of the fact as outlined in the staff report and recommend to the city council the rezoning of the properties located at 1600 Ottawa Avenue and 313 Boyce Memorial Drive from A2 single and two family residential to R rural.
Second.
It's been moved by John and seconded by Jonathan. Is there any further discussion on this? I'm not hearing any. I'm not seeing anybody. Okay. There's Debbie. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. This will go to the next city council meeting. And they'll take it up. They'll take our recommendation up, and then based on what they do, it looks like you might have a plan for the spring. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for making improvement of that corner.
You're welcome. Still not there yet. We're getting close.
Yeah, it's already improved.
Yeah. That part was the only, except for the Tesca stuff, right? Doug?
Yeah. Yep.
So do we adjourn this and then go into that? Or how's this working now?
No, we don't have to adjourn. Let's keep it going.
All right, let's go.
All right, excellent. My name is Mike Hoffman with Tesco Associates. It's a pleasure to be with you virtually here tonight to discuss the comprehensive plan for Ottawa and the update of that. Also with me tonight is Emma Swanson. We're going to kind of take you through a short presentation here that I'm going to pull up right now and kind of explain to you where we're at and talk about, get some input from you guys in terms of some ideas and things that you'd like to see. So just to make sure, you guys see a slide there that says kickoff community workshop?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Just want to make sure it's working. All right, really cool. So we are beginning the process, and what I'd like to cover tonight is kind of give a quick introduction to what we're doing and what this is about. Talk about where the community is today, a little bit about your past planning efforts. This plan is really going to be focused on several key sub areas, so I want to talk to those a little bit. And then I want to ask you guys some questions, and that's what the visioning workshop part is about. And then we'll talk about where we're going to from there. Comprehensive plan, I imagine several of you probably were around last time you updated it a few years back, but just so that everybody is clear and for the people in the audience tonight, comprehensive plan is kind of a long-term guide for the future growth and development of the community. It kind of outlines the community's vision and values and where you want to go kind of gives you a chance to step back from day-to-day zoning decisions like you just made for the greenhouse, right? And think bigger picture about where you want to see the community growing, how you wanted to see it developed, and what that physical form should look like going forward. It is, since your last comprehensive plan, obviously the population has changed a little bit. The city really has identified some additional areas that you want to focus on that the previous plan either didn't look at, or some conditions have changed since those areas were looked at, particularly the waterfront, that we want to kind of re-examine and reevaluate. So, for the most part, I think this isn't going to propose radical changes from the existing plan, but it clearly is going to be an update and give you a good pattern going forward. Our timeline here that you can see is kind of, we're in the kind of looking at where we are phase. Doug gave us a really great tour of the community a couple months ago. We're looking at some demographics and just some factors that you look at in terms of doing the specific area planning like we're doing here in the overall community. Having this session with you tonight to talk about overall community vision. Then we're going to get to work on those sub-area plans. I'll talk a little bit more about those later. And our game plan is to have a plan ready for adoption in June of next year. So Emma is now going to talk to you a little bit about where you guys are as a community right now from what we've seen so far.
Can everyone hear me okay?
You're good, Emma.
Cool.
Yes.
So as part of our initial existing conditions analysis, we collected some demographic information for the city of Ottawa. We found that Ottawa has an estimated population of about 18,300. Your median household income is just shy of $50,000, which is slightly less than the counties and about $15,000 less than the state. Ottawa's median home value is around $137,000, which is greater than the counties, but much more affordable compared to the state. We also have a projection here for Ottawa's unemployment rate for 2020, which was 13.8%. However, this year has been much different than anticipated with the pandemic. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported about 4.8% for the Ottawa Streator area in January of this year, but recent reports have shown that it went up to about 17% in April and then is back down to around 8% as of September. And then similar patterns are happening in the county and state, due mostly to the pandemic as well. And then finally, the median age for Ottawa sits around 42 years old, which is similar to the county and just slightly older than the state's median age.
I have a question about your demographic stuff there. Is it too early to expect the 2020 census stuff will be incorporated in this? Will any of that be out by the time this is done in June or no?
No, probably not.
All right, so it's a best guess then.
Yes.
What we're using here. All right. Okay, thank you.
We also looked at education. So Ottawa and the county have comparable education numbers. Their high school graduate percentages are higher than that of the state, and same goes for associate's degrees. However, the percentage of Ottawa's population with bachelor's and higher education degrees is less than that of the state. And finally, we took a look at employment in Ottawa. Ottawa has an employed population of about 8,000. Industries that make up the highest percentage of Ottawa's employment include healthcare and other service-related industries, retail trade, and manufacturing. This is pretty much the same for the county and the state as well. However, compared to the county and state, Ottawa seems to have a higher percentage of their employed population working in construction and public admin industries. And as part of our initial analysis, we also inventoried Ottawa's relevant and most recent planning efforts. So you have the 2002 Comprehensive Plan, which kind of lays the foundation for most of Ottawa's current comprehensive planning efforts. It established a future land use plan and really focused on a few key sub-areas, which were Route 23 and 71, I-80 and Route 23 corridors, I-80 and Route 71, and intersection of Route 23 and Fosse Road. The main goal of the 2002 comp plan was to provide direction for decisions related to the future growth and development of the city. Some of those goals within there were to capitalize on Ottawa's location on the two rivers and along the I-80 corridor, improve on and expand multimodal transportation, maintain and enhance existing residential neighborhoods and model new ones after the existing neighborhoods, evaluate existing open space and recreational facilities, and identify and preserve existing natural features, and finally preserve agricultural, cropland, and agribusiness. So the 2002 comp plan included a second volume, which was the 2002 downtown plan. And this plan included an in-depth market analysis for the downtown, and then established a few goals, which was to revitalize and preserve downtown's architectural heritage, encourage a vibrant cultural atmosphere, promote private and public investment, reinforce the sense of historical continuity and unique character, and finally to increase and promote residential uses in the downtown. Ottawa's most recent comprehensive plan was adopted in 2014, and that was really an update of the 2002 plan. The goals included to position Ottawa as a major tourism destination, preserve farmland and conserve natural assets, position downtown Ottawa as a model of an intact and vibrant historic American city, create safe and accessible and connected transportation systems, create 21st century jobs, enhance housing, and finally contain sprawl. And within this plan, there's the future land use plan, a transportation plan, a parks and land acquisition plan, a flood strategy for the city, and an in-depth implementation plan. And this plan also focused on a few key sub areas, which were the downtown riverfront, Marquette District, I-80 District, and the River Valley Conservation District. And then the final plan I'll talk about is the 2016 Downtown Ottawa Waterfront Master Plan, which was really an implementation strategy for the 2014 comp plan. It includes an in-depth market analysis for the area, as well as a collection of program summaries and a series of renderings, all with the goal of creating a vision for the downtown waterfront area that ultimately would help guide development. Some of those key plan elements, which are shown on this image here, are the amphitheater and open lawn stage area, a transient harbor, a riverfront promenade, a new market street, a botanical garden and conservatory, and then the play area.
So we're obviously going to relook at the riverfront area. A number of things have come up since then. Obviously, we've got specific plans for the new YMCA that is getting ready to go here along the riverfront of the old school site. There is a I&M Canal easement actually that was not really paid attention to in the last plan, but we need to be cognizant of that. So we're working that into the plan, and we're just rethinking it a little bit. We actually had a charrette last week with Doug and the mayor and talked about some issues regarding the downtown area, and we're trying to make sure that what the plan is both visionary and realistic. I think there were some things in the existing plan that I'm not sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. So we're kind of relooking at those. I think most of the elements in the existing plan will be in there, but they'll probably be reshaped a little bit, I guess. And I think there's some additional development opportunities, particularly kind of in the transition between downtown and the riverfront, that we're going to look at a little bit closer and see what we can do with those things. Certainly we want to make sure that we're continuing the Riverwalk along the riverfront. That's a key element, and then just doing everything we can to kind of maximize the area's potential. You've got a fantastic opportunity there at the kind of front door of the community, and most communities would die to have the riverfront access that you guys have got. So we think there's some exciting opportunities there to integrate some of the great things that you got going on downtown with that riverfront and kind of create some good synergy between the two. We're also going to be taking a look at the I-8071 interchange. You've extended some utilities up to that area now that make it prime for development. You've got that great Dayton Bluffs Preserve that's out there that I've had a chance to hike through, and which is really cool along the riverfront there. And I think there's some great opportunities at that intersection for a variety of different types of development. So we're going to try to capitalize that on and give you some specific ideas of what would be good to do at that interchange. In a little bit, I'm going to ask you some of your thoughts for that area too. But I think that is a great opportunity and one we're going to be looking at a little bit closer. And then we're also going to be looking at the Norris Drive corridor. This is the graphic here is kind of a snippet of the kind of the key intersection there at 23 and 6. But IDOT's recently done some improvements in that area. We want to integrate those improvements. We know that the Morris Hospital is looking at a site in this area, and we want to just make sure that this area is functioning and working well and meets the community's goals. It kind of is one of your heart of the community areas, really, and I think there's some opportunities to capitalize on a couple of key development sites and maybe look at some of the circulation and pedestrian access things and circulation throughout this area to really make sure that that it is a great area. There's some work being done on the railroad and that kind of thing too we want to look at. And we're really going to be looking at the entire corridor. So this is just a couple of air photos of looking at development that's throughout the rest of the corridor. But we think that this kind of area needs a little bit more attention than what was in your existing comprehensive plan. And so this effort will we'll look at the whole corridor, but we will primarily be focusing on that 6 and 23 intersection that we looked at a second ago, but we will provide suggestions throughout the corridor area. So that is the presentation part of this thing. Now I want you guys, hopefully you all have a smartphone handy somewhere, or you can do this on a computer, but we're going to ask you a series of questions, and the easy way for us to collect that information, particularly doing it online like this, is to do it by this polling software that we have. So grab your phone, use your computer, and open up another window if you need to. But go to menti.com, and then you can type in that code that you see there, 1560592, and you should get to the first question. I'll give you guys a second to do that. And as I understand it, we've got about a 15 or 20-second delay between what you're hearing me say and as commissioners and the general public. So we'll need to leave a little bit of extra time as we're doing these polling things to accommodate that. So if you've done that, you're going to get to this first question, which is really just a fun question given the time of year, just to make sure that the technology is working right for everybody. Up on top of the screen, you'll still see those instructions that I had of going to menti.com and using that code 1560592, and you should get to this question. And I see some people are starting to get there, so this is awesome. We're going to give it a few minutes, or at least a minute. See.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. I needed to go again there to the top. I got it.
Mine's not loading.
I'm going to test it on my own here too, just to make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to.
Also, if you're at City Hall, it might be helpful to get off the Wi-Fi, just with everything else going.
No. Yeah, I'll try on my computer, but can we verbally do it?
No.
It's really better if we could do it electronically. I just got in just fine, so I know it's working, and obviously other people have, so it is working. And it will actually work from people at home too, if they're online and watching this. So we've got 6 votes so far. Should have at least.
I've been using Doug, so we'll go.
All right.
All right.
So you guys are turkey fans, huh? That's cool.
Oh, no.
I didn't vote. I would have voted green bean casserole, I think, myself.
I voted for green beans.
All right, good man. Got a turkey coming in. Awesome. All right, so I think it's working. So this is good. So let's get on to the real questions. How do you describe Ottawa today? Give me 1 or 2 words that you would use to describe the community as it exists today. And there aren't any wrong answers. So there we go. We're starting to get some. Ooh, that's interesting. 2 opposing phrases there.
We're a little biased.
Of course you are. You should be. So it's cool that moving forward is the bigger the letters, the more responses that got. But now they're like all the same. So you all use different words, but that's cool. All right. So moving forward, obviously that's a positive. But then you've got regressing and stifled. Talk to me about that for a second. What do you mean by regressing and stifled?
Our economy right now is presenting some difficulties on how we go forward as far as the whole COVID-19. Everybody's trying to figure out COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a worldwide problem, really.
I know.
Right? It's not specific.
Yeah, I know.
But it is something you have to deal with. Okay, that makes sense. I'm with you. All right, very cool. All right, let's go on to the next question. Certainly the river and downtown historic all make perfect sense. What do you like most about living or working in Ottawa? Again, 1 or 2 words to describe what you most like about living or working in town. You like your neighbors, that's a good sign. People showing up is a positive. And family, of course. Downtown for sure. Compact, yes, I agree. It is a fairly compact community. Restaurants, I think you guys do have a great variety of restaurants. Are they surviving COVID okay? I know you guys did what I would thought was pretty good efforts in terms of helping them downtown by closing off streets and doing some things this summer to help them out. So that's really cool. Anybody else want to comment on anything you put on there?
I don't want to be the only one talking here. Somebody else talk. Location. I mean, an hour and a half, you can get to Chicago, Rockford, Bloomington, the Quad Cities, Champaign. A couple hours, you're wherever. You know, go up to Milwaukee. I mean, the access is unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not just closeness to Chicago. It's actually closeness to a lot of regional locations. I agree completely. Very cool. And yeah, access to the outdoors. I mean, I can't think of a town anywhere where you're as close to as many state parks and resources as you guys are. So that's awesome.
I agree. I put down environment, kind of related. It can kind of go both ways with nature, because we have Starved Rock, we have rivers, and then also we have a mixture, like with the city, being somewhat close. But then the gateway, you can get out to the Midwest farmland, so I think it's a very good area to live. We have many options, unlike other areas of the country.
Absolutely. Completely agree. All right, let's put our visionary lens on here, and what would you like Ottawa to look like in 20 years? Hard to think 20 years in advance, I know, but dream a little, wish a little. Give me some words that would describe what you would like the community to be like in 20 years. And if it's the same as today, that's fine too, but but what would you like to see the community, what kind of words would you like to describe the community in the future? For your grandkids or kids or whatever. Okay, keep typing stuff in if you haven't got yours in there yet, but let's talk about a couple of these. Destination city, a destination for what? An outstanding riverfront, probably, but what else? I mean, when you put down this destination city, what were you thinking? Nobody wants to take credit for that one. I thought it was good.
Which one was it? Your question?
Destination city.
Oh, I didn't do that one.
Okay, well, let's talk about a couple of the other ones then. Larger population. So what did we see? Ottawa was around, if I remember, 18,000 Emma, is that right?
Yeah, that was mine. Ottawa has remained pretty close to 18,000 for about 40, 50 years now. At one time in 1860, we were just over 19,000, but we're at that cusp where back in 2000, we had the opportunity to probably get to about 20,000, but the recession hit. And, but I think we need more housing. I think we don't have the selection of housing that people want. And, you know, some people just can't afford $200,000 to $300,000 homes. So I think that in a comprehensive plan, we need to find ways of having probably more affordable housing for younger people that are just starting out and that will lure them to come to Ottawa.
Okay. That's great. That's the kind of input I'm looking for. So that goes to the housing mix thing too, absolutely. Entrepreneurial, I would sort of, there's a lot of entrepreneurship happening in downtown Ottawa, I know already, which is great. So I like that one. Distinct from Chicagoland. I mean, I think you certainly are distinct from Chicagoland now, and I guess you want to remain that way, which is cool. Okay. Feel free to chime in if there's anything else you guys want to comment on anything you put down here. It's weird doing it this way because I can't see your faces because I got the screen in front of me now, so I can't use visual clues like I normally do. All right, we'll move on. So we talked about this being a destination city, growing the population, it being busy and exciting in the last question. What are some challenges to reach that vision? And while you're typing kind of a question, following up on that larger population, I get the desire to grow. If thinking out in 10 or 20 years, what would you guys like to grow to, you know, ideally? Is that 20,000? Is it 25,000 to become home rule? Is it 50,000? Is it just slow and steady growth? What any thoughts on that?
I have one. Again, I think that when you look at demographics, you really have to look at, continuously continued growth. And to do that, you got to have a mix of people. I mean, you don't always have to have all the youth, but you can also look at the aging population. And I said this 10 years ago. I mean, Ottawa would be well groomed for a Del Webb development because the baby boomers are retiring at a record rate, and they need places to have places to live that don't want to go to a sun state. They want to stay in the Midwest. So with the amenities that we have, I think that there's many opportunities across the whole spectrum of population to make Ottawa grow. So to answer your question, I would say it'd be nice to see us break 20,000, but if we can get up to 25,000, I think that would help. Just kind of get more opportunities for different retail and restaurant establishments besides our local.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, you've got, I mean, when you're looking at, retirement and older folks are looking for access to medical care, you've got that. Access to shopping, you got that. Access to dining and entertainment, you got that, right? So you do have a lot of the things that they would be looking for. So that's a great point.
If I can speak to that, am I on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Debbie. Sorry for the confusion earlier. From a real estate standpoint, I would say most certainly the 55 and older population has always been attracted to Ottawa. We're seeing more influx of that now, as I don't know what all of you have seen in other areas, but we are seeing a push out of the suburban area into Ottawa again in a number of populations, and probably most uniquely now. We've always had the 55 and older interest, and that is still strong with us and growing stronger in this most recent uptick in our real estate industry. But we need to analyze this as this year is coming to a close. But we have had a substantial impact across the board, and I think that perhaps the re-identification of how people work and where they work has identified people's ability to live where they want to live. And we are seeing more push out in the younger population coming here by choice to live because they can work from home. They can identify a flexible work environment where they may commute back into their jobs. I don't think our job market is bringing those people into our location, but I think the desire to live in this community is attracting a number of demographics.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point. I mean, we're all learning new things, right? I mean, take my company, a consultant, right? We got offices in Plainfield and Evanston. I've been in the office maybe once or twice a week now. Honestly, I live in Somonauk. Okay, I'm in Somonauk right now, so I could be in Ottawa just as easily or anywhere else, really, and it wouldn't make that much difference. And so,
well, let me add on to what Debbie's saying, and I guess what COVID has done is just kind of blown up the whole work environment. Period. Companies are finding out they don't necessarily need to have these offices or whatever. They can have people working wherever now. Mm-hmm. And it's opened up, hey, you can live wherever you want now. So now we got to give them a reason why they want to live here.
Mm-hmm.
So
something's already identified, I think. I think we've always been in an attractive place. We don't have the job situations that would allow people to come here necessarily of different age groups, but it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's fun to watch. And I think that if you look at from the city of Chicago pushing out to the suburbs pushing out to us, I think there's a natural progression there. I don't know. It'll be fun to analyze that.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Debbie and Brent and everyone else is that again, I work out of my home. I know Brent does part-time too. And I've been doing it for 24 years, actually. So I can almost live anywhere I want in the Midwest if I really chose to. But I moved back home 19 years ago now. And the thing is that, again, if I was younger, what kind of housing opportunities, mixed use. People want mixed use where they can go to the store, walk down the street and their townhome and go do some shopping, maybe have some markets and all that. I really see that that's something that young people would like to see. Our downtown's that way. If we can get more housing downtown, that would be attractive for people to move downtown that work out of their homes. So those are just some of the things that I see that, with this unfortunate opportunity with COVID, it's going to drive more people living or working through their home offices versus going to office buildings.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. So challenges here. So this is interesting. Often we'll do a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats kind of thing, which you're talking about things that are somewhat under your control and things that aren't, right? And the realm of things that really aren't under our control, unfortunately, at least to any significant extent, is our fair state of Illinois and our current state of essentially bankruptcy, although that's not really bankrupt, but close to it for the state of Illinois and the business climate of Illinois. I was doing some work in the community to the east of you, closer to the Indiana border, and man, it's tough to attract business to that community because they just go across the line and they've got significant tax breaks for attracting businesses. So that is definitely a challenge that really everybody in Illinois is facing. The good news is that you've got some good pluses and strengths in Ottawa that can counteract some of that in terms of your wonderful environment and such. Okay. Anybody want to comment on anything else on this page before I go on? All right.
Next.
So now we're going to talk about some of those specific areas, and this one's going to be more focused on downtown and the riverfront. What are some of the biggest opportunities that we see in this area? I mean, you've done some great things already downtown, I would say. And as we just talked about earlier, there's some great potential in the riverfront. But well, if you were to pick out one or two key opportunities, what would you highlight them to be? Things that aren't there yet, but they could be.
Spelling it wrong, but oh.
We don't take off points for typos with spellings.
Spell check's making it go wrong. I'll redo it a different way.
While you're keying in stuff, housing is one that I thought of for sure, and obviously others of you did as well. As we just talked about, people desiring mixed-use environments and access to being able to walk to things, and certainly downtown Ottawa and the riverfront area is a very walkable area. I know you had that relatively new senior housing project that, from everything that I've heard, has been doing well and filled up well. But there really hasn't been a lot of new housing downtown other than that in the last, 5-10 years, has there?
No, not really, but there's opportunities for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think several of the buildings downtown would lend themselves to be converted to more of a mixed use, with retail, commercial, whatever on the ground level, and then residential up above, and especially along Main Street. Some of the older buildings down there along Main Street. There's probably some there, but they could probably be improved, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So,
Okay, what else we got here? Condos, which goes along with that. Entertainment. Yeah, obviously the riverfront we would certainly see as some significant public space for events and recreation and those kind of things. Environmental protection. Anybody want to talk to what we're thinking there? I mean, obviously we got to respect the floodplain.
well, what I'm thinking there is just don't build everything up to the riverfront. You got to leave some native, natural areas down there along the river, because that's what you're coming down there for. You know, you're coming down to see the river. You're not coming and what goes with the river, not just to see a bunch of concrete and asphalt.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. New traffic flow. All right, talk to me about that. What are we thinking there?
Go ahead, John.
I like a lot of the new ideas with, I know a lot of it's grand from certain aspects, but the bridges, new bridges, I think it would be a huge advantage. Right now, the LaSalle Street and Columbus Street's heavy, lots of times settlement traffic. There is ways that we could divert some of that, make the downtown somewhat more pedestrian friendly and pinch, I wouldn't say quiet, but.
well, can I jump in on that a little bit? That goes all the way back to our very first comprehensive plan, our 2002 comprehensive plan. We identified the traffic through the downtown as one of the key hindrances in the downtown. And in that 2002 comprehensive plan, we identified the need for a second bridge across the Illinois River. And it's represented in that plan with a bridge somewhere east of town with a bypass for all the commercial, basically the commercial traffic around town. So you don't have every semi going south running right through your downtown.
Yeah, I read a lot. I liked a lot of that. It was really, I liked it.
But that has to do more with, you know, we got to get IDOT involved on that, and, you know, recognizing the need for a second bridge here. And, you know, good luck on that one.
I would also add to that, Jonathan, that's very astute of you to just understand that without the background that we've already had on that. But another area that we tried to look into was the diversion of LaSalle Street South going over to Clinton Street at one time. We looked at that for a long while to see if it made sense to divert the heaviest traffic over to Clinton. IDOT said that's fine if you want to pay for it. Well, it's cost prohibitive to do it, and I think of us as a little LaGrange. You know how LaGrange is with their major traffic going through their downtown, and they're such an alive and vital downtown. It seems like we've worked around it in the moment. I don't know if it can ever change in the future, but it certainly is a valid point.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, let's go to same area, key challenges. So traffic is sort of a challenge that we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
So that's already one. But what else? Other key challenges? And I think we've seen some of that already answered in some of the other questions, right? So like to renovate some of these buildings downtown, it's not cheap, right? At least to do it right is not cheap. So finding funding to do that is certainly a challenge. What else? Yeah, cost for sure.
The flooding, the flooding down there, it's one of the reasons why that area is vacant.
Right.
Is because, you know, you really can't put a multi-million-dollar project down there without raising it up out of the floodplain. So, you know, that's always going to be a consideration on anything that happens down. And I'm talking about specifically down there in the central school site.
Right, right.
You know, that's going to be one of the hurdles that the YMCA is going to have to face when they build their new structure down there, is making sure that it's elevated up out of the floodplain.
That's been identified, addressed, and
Yeah. Well, I know it's been identified and addressed, but I'm saying that's their number one thing, is they got.
And also, yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think we all are cognizant of that, but we also have a developer who was willing to identify how he would develop condos and a hotel on that higher level if we can overcome those restrictions on the deed for that property. And that's out of that elevation. So that would be part of a plan, right?
Absolutely. Yes. We've been talking about those very things, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And I agree, Brett, that, I mean, we're only going to do so much at the immediate riverfront. You can raise that up some, but that becomes a recreational area, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah, an event space, you know, that you can use when it's not wet.
Yeah.
Which is most of the time, honestly. Just got to be prepared to assume that sometimes it's going to be underwater. That's all. Talk to me about the two that are similar, which is acceptance of change and entrenched opposition. What am I facing here?
Acceptance of change for change is what I put in there. And that's just basically some of the current building owners, you know, most of them have been on board. I mean, they've been, a lot of them have rehabbed their buildings, either that or they sold them, but there is still a resistance, local resistance of wanting to change. For example, there's a lot of people that say that we don't want to do anything with the green space where Central School used to be along the riverfront. Leave that green, let people play in it and all that, but they don't look at the big picture. So it's just going to be education to the public to see all the opportunities that riverfront's going to have, including our residents, not just the visitors. So that's why I put that down.
Okay.
And I'll add on to what John's saying. We are becoming a weekend destination for people coming down from the suburbs. They come down on a Saturday, come down on Sunday. You think you could get any of these shop owners to open up their business on a Sunday? You know, come on. You know, you're just missing the opportunity. And then they come and they complain about how they're not getting any support or any encouragement from people to support their business. And it's kind of like, well, you got to be open for people to come and shop your store.
I have to say, last time I was in town, I wanted to go to the bookstore, and I got there like, you know, I don't know, I think it was like 3:15 and they closed at 3 or something like that. But, you know, I understand.
And I think too, Brent, to that question, when you have over 1 million people visiting Starved Rock in 1 year, and let's say a certain percentage of those people come through Ottawa, those businesses ought to be open. The restaurants are open, they ought to be open.
I mean,
Absolutely.
We can't force anybody to open their business.
I know that.
They'll run it the hours they want to run it, but you just have to open their eyes.
Exactly.
I mean, what blows my mind is not this year, but in years past, this Friday is they light up the park. They light up the park on the Friday after Thanksgiving. You'll have 10,000 people down there. You know how many businesses are open? Probably about 4, 5, you know. Now, granted, some of them don't want the people coming in saying, hey, do you have a bathroom? Can I use your bathroom? Can I use your bathroom? But these are people that might never be, you know, they work during the daytime. They never have an opportunity to see your business, but they're blowing it. Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. That's just a keep in mind.
Good point.
A good example. Can I say one more thing? A good example is my wife and I went to Holland, Michigan in the fall. It's our first time in the fall, and go into that area of the Western Michigan. And their downtown, I would say, is similar to size. is Ottawa's. But they had people, even with COVID, with people wearing face masks and social distancing, they probably had 5,000 people walking up and down that area through the parks and everything. So as businesses are open, they increase the opportunities. So I agree with everyone. Everybody says that, you know, we have to find a way to educate our current retail owners.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and we'll talk about 8071, that interchange area there. What do you think are some significant opportunities up in that area?
Hey, Erica, could you come here?
Zoom.
Yeah, I'm currently fighting a cat to keep him off my keyboard right now, so I can relate. Yes.
All right.
There we go. I don't what.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we got logistics and truck oriented. I certainly understand what that's talking about.
Yep.
I certainly get the retail hotel kind of highway oriented service kind of things, right? That makes sense. Restaurants. Big box store, you think? Nobody's building too many of those today.
Maybe an Amazon big box store.
No.
Okay. Expand Dayton Bluffs. That really is a cool place. I hiked around there a couple times this summer, and the different environments that you can go through. And I just enjoyed it because usually I go to Starved Rock or Matheson or somewhere. It's wall-to-wall people, right? And you go there, and there's hardly anybody there. It is a cool thing.
One thing I,
Well-
you don't mind, let me jump in, is I put in hotels, retail, I forgot the other one, but anyway, restaurants, is mixed use. So in other words, what I said earlier is a mixed use neighborhood where you can actually put a neighborhood inside of a neighborhood. I mean, it can be workable, that means, and there's plenty of land to do that. So that's kind of what I meant to go after, is mixed use.
Okay, thanks. Because yeah, nothing there says housing, but you are thinking mixed use, so that's okay. Good.
Well, the pressure on that interchange is going to be housing at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's logical. You can see it already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's a main thoroughfare going up to Oswego and Naperville, Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you have the retail stretch up there in Oswego, but if you come down further, it's nothing but housing coming down 71.
Right.
But I put the comment on there. It's an interchange that doesn't know what it wants to be. You don't know if it wants to be a truck service area or if it wants to be highway, commercial, fast food, whatever, or if it's going to be a conglomeration of adult entertainment, you know, up there, although kind of nip that in the bud a little bit. But it's kind of a hot mess up there right now.
Well, and that's, you know, we're trying to establish what we want it to be, right? So I guess that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. And maybe it's several different things. I don't know, but.
Well, the problem with that interchange, it was out in the county, and whatever developed up there because the county didn't have any rules. You know, they didn't have zoning up until like 10 years ago. So anything and everything could go up there. So it's kind of like, hey, if you want to put whatever here, you could. So there's a plant food business up there. There's 2 truck stops up there. There's 2 adult bookstores. There's a strip club up there. There's a restaurant up there. You know, you name it. There's a truck terminal up there now. So it's kind of like there's a little bit of everything up there right now. And I
Yeah.
think John's right. You know, a hotel wants to come in up there. They'll come in and buy up whatever, and they'll plop a big old hotel up there because it's right off of 80, and that's where they want to put, you know, a new hotel. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. That's why we're trying to get some visions from you.
Absolutely.
Mixed use around that Fox River Park, maybe draw a younger population up there, like what John was saying earlier with mixed use. I think all populations like the parks, but just trying to think forward to, I think, type of housing would be good. Maybe more towards park, away from the truck areas.
Yeah.
Around it, with everything right now.
Yeah.
So
I-
if I could add to, we need to be protective of the area in front of the riverfront that was just developed into the park area. But it's so massive. I think, Michael, you'll have to weigh in on this, but we can't support a development that large in housing. It would have to be identified. I'm at a loss, you know, to imagine all the things it could possibly be. But years ago, before the crash, before the 2008 crash, there was a developer who was about ready to pull the trigger on that. I don't know who was around then to remember that, but we had a big developer coming in with a housing development just about ready to break. And the crash came and he hightailed it out of town. But he had a plan to develop that entire corridor in residential housing with some commercial stuff, wasn't it, Brent, in front of that?
It was about a third of the size of town.
Yeah, it was massive, massive.
It was gonna add like 3,000 housing units
Yeah,
to town.
but
So it was
I
gonna,
don't think we support that type of housing any longer in a plan or a projection, do we? I just don't know how we absorb that. That is confusing, but I don't know.
well, the problem with that development was the pressure it was gonna put on the school districts. And I don't think that was ever identified. The
problem with
the
that
implications on.
I think that the school districts were, that they certainly couldn't bring that forward in a time when housing crashed, you know. But I don't know that anything that large could ever be all residential. So all my point was.
No, I agree. I think there are some great residential opportunities there adjacent to that Dayton Bluff, but you're right. A 3,000 unit development? No, I don't think so. But I do like the ideas that were being brought up about thinking about it as mixed use, because I think we maybe can do some interesting things there. So we'll give that some thought and come up with some specific suggestions for you. Challenges.
I put one on here. The disconnected from town. Right now, the only connection is the highway. There really isn't a pedestrian or bike or non-vehicle access to that area up there. So it's kind of its own thing out there. So I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And identity. I mean, it is somewhat of a front door to the community, and I don't know, it doesn't create that positive image I think that you want to at this point, but it can.
Well,
Yeah,
but we identified that corridor to preserve it, and this is one that got away from us because we identified that as a green corridor coming into town. It was one we were going to try and protect and preserve, but then the power company came and put the new power line right up it and destroyed it. So it's kind of like you lost any opportunity there to really maintain that green entryway into the community from 80 when they put that new transmission line in. And that's kind of one that we kind of messed up on. Because we had, in the previous plans, we had put in their offsets on development of like easements of like 50 or 75 feet off of the highway to preserve that green landscaped area coming in.
Yeah.
And then the power company came in and put that aluminum power pole or steel power poles up all the way going up to Wedren. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. Great idea though. All right, let's switch to the Norris Drive area. Think about some opportunities in that corridor for me.
Mm.
And then we can talk geography a little bit too. I mean, the focus, as I said previously, will be the intersection there at 23 and 6, but anywhere along the corridor you want to talk about opportunities, put it down and we'll talk about it.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's a more developed area. Well, I mean, downtown's developed, but different opportunities there. Better signage. Yeah. We're actually.
That's I'm kind of known as the sign guy here in the Plan Commission because I don't get people who put the biggest, tallest sign up and try to say that that's the way people look at. You know, I travel normal times 40,000 miles a year, and I'm always looking at eyesight. And we have done actually a pretty decent job with all the new businesses coming in, but we have such a bigger improvement that we need on our signage and making it more attractive and keep the light pollution from, being out of control.
Yeah.
And John, I think that's a perfect area to be able to consistently do that because we don't need highway visibility there. And if we stick to our guns, as we have tried in the past to keep that consistent, I think we can accomplish that. I think that area is ripe now for consistency in planning. There, over the years, the neighborhoods fought so hard to keep their residential neighborhoods on Norris Drive, and they fought everything that went in there. And I think we now have consistency and commercial growth there enough to plan for and develop a better use and a more consistent use. And I would think that would be commercial consistently on that corridor.
I completely agree with you, Debbie. Excuse me, because, as you know, I had a business on that corner of Norris Drive and Columbus Street for many, many years, and you could just see the development changing, and it really should be commercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me about two other things on here, traffic patterns and industry. I talked to a resident in the area who had certainly had some concerns about traffic patterns. I don't know, in the vicinity of the McDonald's and blanket on that north-south street right there. But anyway, I'm in that area, so I know about that. What are there other traffic pattern issues that I should be thinking about or looking at here?
Well, I could tell you what the concerns that some of the people in that neighborhood have raised to me. Columbus and Norris Drive is probably the busiest intersection in the whole county. And as people try to figure out different ways to get around that intersection, going wherever they're going, whether they're coming out of McDonald's or coming out of Domino's or CVS or whatever, they do all kinds of crazy ass stuff. As far as going, some of the, like CVS is supposed to be, you're not supposed to be able to go out onto Paul Street. That's that north-south street you're talking about.
That's it, yeah.
But they cut through that street all the time to get around it. So it's kind of like, You know, and then IDOT has actually made some of the intersections, or made Paul Street a no left turn when you're going east on North Drive, and only a right turn only going south off of Paul. But people still ignore it. They're gonna still do the crazy ass U-turn coming on McDonald's and cutting in to go to CVS or Domino's, you know, turning north. So I mean, that's the traffic issues up there.
Okay.
And then using the alleys to go through the alleys, and using Nebraska Street. And I've heard it. I've talked to people for hours about it up there.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
And then access, you got to remember that the other thing up there is the pedestrian access for the school kids going to the school.
Yeah.
Is the other issue, because the kids still walk to that school from that neighborhood.
Okay, good. And then the industry one that's on there, where were you thinking the industry was appropriate? I think we generally just said mostly commercial on the frontage of 6. Are we talking about farther east or west or something for industry, or what are we thinking there?
I don't know who put that up there. That might be further west, because the only industrial area really is further west down there by Simcoe.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Same area, just the challenges with it. So obviously traffic is a challenge.
Yeah.
We just talked about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and signage we talked about too. One of the things that was on the last one was landscape enhancements, and I completely get that. Do you think that your current landscape regulations get you what you want in terms of what happens on private property, or does those need to be improved, or are we just talking public landscaping? What are we thinking about there for landscape stuff?
I kind of raised this in the past. Here's the issue. We'll make a new business, you know, especially one of these corporate entities come in, and we say, give us a landscape plan, and they'll give us a landscape plan, and they'll put it in, and then a year or two into it, the landscaping dies, and they never bother to replace it. So it ends up, yeah, you got a building, a really nice building that at one time had a really nice landscape design to it, but they don't care about the landscape. They care about selling widgets, you know, selling pizzas, selling hamburgers, selling whatever. And they don't care if that tree or shrub or whatever lives out in front of their business. So yeah, there needs to be some improvement there.
So that sounds more like an enforcement mechanism. I mean, you probably have something in your code that says that they have to maintain it, but to make them do it, you got to go out there and inspect it regularly and track that and keep on them about it. And sometimes you don't have the capability to do that. I don't know.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Working with IDA, yeah, that's everybody's problem. Lighting, though, talk to me about that. What are lighting concerns in this corridor? Is it just not lit up? Go ahead.
Well, the concern is as it gets more commercial along North Drive, and as they add more parking and parking lots need to be lit up at night, you have 400, you have big ginormous LED or halogen lighting on the parking lots bleeding into the residential neighborhoods.
Got it.
So it has to deal with the shrouding and the permitted light to leave a premises.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, really cool. All right, that is it for my questions. So,
I have one question, if you don't mind.
absolutely.
So one of the things I put down traffic patterns. I would like to see, we're thinking 20 years from now, right?
Yep.
I mean, we're looking.
Yes.
What happens if the elementary school that's there now doesn't remain there. Well, that opens up that whole area quite a bit about shifting traffic around and maybe even putting in a traffic circle or any other ways of getting the traffic to move faster and more efficiently. So I don't know if you plan on looking at that, but, you know, and I don't think Ottawa Elementary is even, you know, ever going to think about getting rid of Jefferson School, but you never know. You know, things may consolidate, maybe, you know, school buildings get, you know, done in a different way in the future. So I don't know if we're going to look at that as an equation, but I kind of want to throw that out there as a suggestion.
I'd be happy to, and I think that's a great idea to think of that. Obviously not a short-term thing, and if the school wants to stay, they're welcome to stay as long as they want to, right? But I think you're absolutely right. If that wasn't there, we would probably propose some more significantly different opportunities in that area. So if you guys like it, I would be more than happy to throw out an option of what it how the picture might change if that school wasn't there. That's fine.
I have one question for you too.
Sure.
We've secured your services to do an update or an overall revision to our comprehensive plan, and we're looking at the Route 6, Norris Drive, and Columbus Street area. You're aware of the rail study that's going on as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and you're going to incorporate that, whatever from that as well?
For sure.
Okay, because they did a presentation to us, maybe 2-3 months ago, and they had some interesting things about Columbus Street as far as the rail impacts in that neighborhood as well. Mm-hmm. So that has to be brought into the picture too, as Absolutely. Far as the whole, how do you mix trains that are a mile long with cars and trucks and people that want to get over the train tracks? So, you know, and our area is blessed to be one of the leading areas for having fracking sand go through it. So, you know, that's one of the things that's driving all of it, because, you know, we never had mile-long train cars before full of silica sand going east, west, north, south coming out of this town. So that's something that needs to be factored into this as well.
Okay, absolutely, we'll do. And Doug did give me a copy of their presentation, so I've at least been able to track that. So absolutely, that has to be integrated, and I agree. Okay, so for anybody that's out there watching this, we would encourage you to stay involved. We are going to have some additional workshops, not this year, obviously, it's getting late in the year, but we'll have some next year. We have set up a kind of project website for this that would be the best way to kind of stay up to date and track what's going on. And there actually are some forums on that website to provide some comments directly to us there. We called it cultivateottawa.com, kind of building off your garden theme, and also the fact that we're trying to cultivate ideas into an overall plan for the community. So I would encourage anyone in the community to go take a look at that website and provided some input and ideas there. You can click a button that says follow. You can see it there and there in the corner of the screen there that's on there. If you do that, you will get updates on future meetings, future release of draft materials, and all those good things associated with this comprehensive plan. That's the best way to stay informed of what's going on. And I guess you can call Doug and bug him every day if you want to, but if you follow the website, it'll let you know what's going on.
Is that link on the city's website now? Or is it?
So, Doug, can you confirm that? I believe it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Because I got an email, Doug, saying it was there, but then it disappeared.
If it disappeared, then I'm not aware of it. I'll take a look at it.
All right. Okay. And then your time frame for having that additional charrette or whatever it is that we might have another one of these is going to be sometime maybe January or February. Is that what you're looking at?
More like February. We'll be working through some drafts and those kind of things. And probably February or so, we'll be back at you with something.
Okay. And then your Route 6 corridor, you are going up Columbus Street somewhat too, right? Or is it just, are you confining it to Route 6?
Well, we were going up to at least the railroad tracks.
Okay,
Going all the way up to the interstate, but
all right. Because that was one of the concerns some of the former plan commission members was how far up Columbus Street you were going to go.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that's
Well,
all
yeah.
I have.
Great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Thanks, Mike
All right, thank you.
and Emma.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
We'll do a little summary
Yeah.
of your responses and write this up in a little memo and get it to you. And well, it won't be before Thanksgiving, but we'll get it to you in the near future.
Okay. All right. All right, well, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right. Doug?
Yes.
All right, you had something in your email about our next meeting. Right now, you don't think we're gonna have anything? When's our next meeting scheduled? It's the week of Christmas, right?
December 28th. Right now, I don't have anything for it.
Okay. All right, so we just have to watch this space and see if we're gonna have a meeting that Monday.
Yep.
I'm available.
I'm available too if we have to have something, so. Are you available, Judy?
Yes, I am available.
And how about you, Debbie?
I assume so. I mean, we're not traveling anywhere, right?
Okay, and Jonathan?
Yes, I'm available.
Okay, and did Pete hang on for this or did he drop off for this?
My phone ran out of juice, so he dropped off.
Okay. All right, well, you'll just have to send an email and confirm with everybody if we're gonna have a meeting or not. And, okay, is there I don't think there's anything else on our agenda, right?
Correct.
Okay, I say we're adjourned at 8:45.
Good to talk, everyone.
Everybody have a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Yeah, everyone too.
Likewise.